Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. We are still in a very interesting market right now. Before we start, I just want to share some statistics. We see silver sitting at $12.66, down 2.61% on the day. Gold at $1,529, up 0.8%. So silver and gold are pulling apart, which got me to think about the gold to silver ratio and wonder where it's at. We are currently sitting at a gold to silver ratio that is 120 to 1. Now, the highest it's ever been previously was around 100 to 1. So we are 20 points above record-setting highs, which is scary because that means that gold is still outperforming silver. This means that people are definitely following towards the yellow metal, thinking that this is a better hedge against inflation and a better store of their asset and securities. Now, I know there is a lot of volatility in these markets, which can bring a lot of opportunity, and that's what this video is going to be explaining and going to be talking about, is the opportunity that sits beneath our feet as we could be onto something extremely large, especially for those that are buying silver right now. I see Bullion having a 15-day waiting period as people are rushing towards the bullion dealers and buying up all the silver, probably even making the dealers run out and go dry, which is crazy. The demand for silver is something that we've never seen to this extent, where the U.S. Mint sold out of American Eagles, bullion dealers having to back order by several weeks, and that really shows why people, or where people are having their safety, where they want to secure their funds. So I have an article from Seeking Alpha talking about how you should buy this dip in gold, or gold, physical gold. For the sake of my video, I like to say physical gold and silver, because when we're talking about gold, you have to talk about silver. But buy this dip in gold, or you'll be kicking yourself. You don't want to miss the boat. You don't want to wait until gold starts rallying and then have to pay the price, literally pay the price of higher spot prices. So the fundamentals for gold stocks are better than they've been in history. The gold to oil ratio is at all-time highs, and the gold to silver ratio is at all-time highs as well. So, meaning gold miner margin potential is at all-time highs. So, production of goods and services around the world has plummeted, while central banks are adding liquidity to the banking system in absolute torrents. A few worrying high CPI prints should catapult gold mining stocks such as much higher, and these times are likely what dry powder in portfolios was made for. So, this week could be very well the ultimate opportunity for gold bugs to put their money in where their mouths are. We are very familiar with the saying, buy when there's blood in the streets. Boy, is there blood in the streets of gold bug community right now. And that's definitely true. That's a good saying, because right now, once people realize that markets are going to correct, that's when it makes sense that you should be flooding towards gold and silver right now. The demand is not going to stop, and we might even have a shortage of silver from a global scale as production's been getting cut back by the hundreds of millions of ounces for the last 5 to 6 years. So when we see a demand this high, where the U.S. Mint literally sold out of silver, and Bullion, all these other places having to back order their shipments, it really does show how much silver we really have, which isn't that much. So, this trading week could be very well the best opportunity to buy gold stocks, or gold ever. I almost never make such blanket statements, but this time I actually believe it strongly enough to make such a statement. And I'm curious, do you own gold stocks? Are you into the ETF side of it, or are you just in the physical precious metal? This video is just as relevant, even if you aren't into gold stocks, like I really am not. But it really still is just as relevant, because it's still essentially the same market, and it still shows the same outcome and the same types of angles in these markets, which is definitely beneficial. So, I do not own gold stocks, but this guy says I own gold stocks, and I've been punched in the gut like everyone else who owns them. And not for the first time. But like Rocky Balboa knew when fighting Apollo Creed, the way to win the fight was just to keep standing until the final bell. to go the distance. Rocky ultimately became the champion. I believe the final bell is just about to ring. So he's saying that this is all about to come, everything's about to get exposed, that we are heading into those waters nowadays. Those who have hung on for all these years, myself included, have gone the distance so far, and I believe soon we'll get the heavyweight champion gold belt. The last round is always the hardest after such a beating, which is definitely a good metaphor to use. Right now it's definitely really hard to hold on, to still have faith in the markets. A lot of people are giving up faith and hope, but I try to make my videos hopeful and faithful so you don't have to do that. So, so the basic fundamentals are amazing. Going back to the most basic of fundamentals for the gold mining industry, gold miners are essentially buy energy, among other things, and sell gold. Energy prices are way down, with the oil price basically collapsing to the low 30s, and appears we'll be stuck there for a long time and missed an oil price war between Russia and Saudi Arabia. So in global demand stuck at lows because of coronavirus. If gold miners have any sense of long-term preparedness, they will lock in these oil prices with futures and maximize these margins for years on out. So oil has been really low lately. So, I remember talking about when the Saudi Arabia got the oil fields bombed and how long it was going to recover with the installation being backdated and all that. I remember, talking about where the price is then, and now looking at $30 is even crazier, $30 a barrel. So, anyways, price inflation is about to skyrocket. So, the price inflation argument can be made very simply. Gold production of goods and services has been basically shut down because of COVID-19, and central banks are firing up the printed presses like never before in history. Trillions are being printed worldwide to feed the banking system so it doesn't need to stall out completely. And that's open information. So back in 2008, it took a partial audit of the Fed by Senator Bernie Sanders and Congressman Ron Paul to expose $16 trillion in global bank loans that went back then. Now it's right out in the open on the New York Fed's website for all to see. So who else knows what they're doing behind closed doors right now, which is a very good point. Price inflation can still be made stronger. The 2008 bailouts were focused on banks. This is the kind of hot money that gets locked up in capital markets as it circulates from bank to bank as they stick money in bonds and equities and reinflate asset classes. However, this is the time that there is a very good chance that at least some of the upcoming bailouts will fall much closer to the consumer sector, including moves to bail out bankruptcy domestic U.S. oil companies, airlines, and cruise lines directly. Tax relief that will keep more money in consumer pockets than otherwise, suspensions of student debt payments, other possible extreme measures referred to as helicopter money. So, it's a good point. Now he's going in to mention how he's not going to make the same mistake again. Still, ever since the gold bull market took off again in November 2015, I have been kicking myself for not buying more back then. Of course, such a regret is a double-edged sword because it means I have a major drawdown, and when prices go back down there, I get another opportunity. It is entirely my choice and your individual choice as a prospective or current gold investor regarding how you view the price collapse. I was talking about that in my video the other day too. It really is to each his own. It's a glass half full or glass half empty situation. Some people look at this as a great opportunity, knowing that the markets will correct. It's just a time to buy gold and silver for much cheaper. But then you also have the other people that are panicking and freaking out, thinking that they lost all their money, not really thinking about the bigger picture, not really thinking about, oh yeah, the markets will correct themselves eventually again. So by kicking myself for these past 4 years, I've actually been subconsciously hoping for a day like this. Even though it is certainly painful to see it, now the day is here. This time, I'm not going to miss out on the opportunity. So now we should go into some of the risks, though. So there's only one major risk as I see it, and that's the panic not done yet and has farther to go. And that's also what I'm talking about when I say the unknown variable, the unknown factor. We really could see prices go even lower. But it doesn't mean that they're going to stay that low. We might see even more volatility and even lower prices. And I need people to understand that if it does do that, please do not have that mind state thinking that, that same mind state thinking that it's going to crash, it's going to bottom, because prices are never going to go absolute to zero, because there is fundamental value, there is fundamental uses in these markets, and they will stand their ground. there is stability, there is intrinsic value in gold and silver. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Like I said, the gold to silver ratio is at 120 to 1, meaning it takes 120 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold. This is the highest it's ever been, ever. You know, back in Egyptian and biblical times, it was 2.5 to 1. And then in the 30s, FDR changed it from 16 to 1 and 75 to 1. And now it's at 120 to 1, which is absolutely crazy. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash the like button. Also, make sure to comment what you thought about this article. Are you taking advantage of these prices right now? Or what are you doing? I'm curious to hear. Anyways, the link to the articles will be in the description. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.